Welcome back to Full Beans. Today, we have the Indy 400. Bottas do Indy? This one? Right? These Chiefs are going to be on an Indy car seat. And then the Toronto Grand Prix. Woo! Full Beans.
Race 12? Race week 12?
12 it is.
12?
12.
There we go.
12
We're
races.
getting it. We're getting it.
Connor Daly, we still want you on here.
There's a spot. We can fit one more chair here.
Yeah, like I said before, I will have my mom personally cook your favorite Mexican dish that you want. Enchiladas, chirrellenos, burrito, tacos, whatever you want to have you on this show. So,
Get over here. Get some good food.
yeah, have some good laughs.
We'll get
Talk.
one more chair for you here. It'll be the best chair that you've ever seen.
Be
Yeah.
better than mine, for sure.
Frankie's chairs, don't even ask what it is.
It's just a few sticks. Really.
We want you here, Connor Daly.
Get over here.
Yeah. See you soon. My name is Ozzy. David, Frankie, make sure you like and subscribe this
Turn on
video.
that bell notification.
Send to all your friends, all your enemies, all your teachers that you hated that gave you F's out there. With that being said, we move on to the news of the week of this episode.
News.
David, take it away with the news.
This week, we had Kyle Larson returning to the world-famous Indianapolis Motor Speedway to win the Brickyard 400. Only 2 months after completing the Indianapolis 500, finishing 18th. I can't remember. I think something like that. Kyle Larson returned to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway on Sunday afternoon to claim the trophy in one of NASCAR Cup Series Crown Jewel events. It's Larson's third NASCAR Crown Jewel event win, including the Southern 500 at Darlington Raceway and the sport's longest race, and the Coca-Cola 600 at Charlotte Motor Speedway. The only jewel left to win for him is the Daytona 500. This race was pretty impressive from Kyle. With 30 laps to go, he was 23rd.
Oh, wow.
23rd. With 10 laps to go, he was 4th. He took the lead in the first overtime period, leading only 7 races in the lap, 6 of which were in overtime periods.
Yeah, so what I'm understanding is Kyle Larson was nowhere close towards winning this race, and then towards the end was able to push forward to the front, and hey,
I think
we could win this thing.
It was a battle of classic NASCAR, last man surviving.
Yeah.
I think the first place, I can't remember who was in first, ran out of fuel. We know fuel is an issue in NASCAR and in Indy.
Impressive win by Kyle Larson. I know Kyle Larson, we know him because he was in the Indy 500, so well-known name in the NASCAR world. Good to see that. Yeah, like you said, it was a battle of who can survive the longest. Last man standing takes the victory, right? You don't always need to be the fastest. Sometimes you just need to be there.
You just gotta be there when it counts.
Exactly. So
impressive to see. Good to see that he gets a win at Indy.
Yeah.
Hopefully we get to see him win at the Indy 500. So that would be interesting. Nice to see that he's competitive in all race series that he's in.
Yeah, and he's won some impressive races. Like you said, he's won some crown jewels. The next one that he needs is the Daytona 500, a big one a lot of people know about. So hopefully he gets that win and solidifies himself as one of the great NASCAR drivers out there in the series.
Moving on from one great driver to another great driver.
Driver favorite here at Full Beans.
Driver favorite here. We have a favorite body part of his. That's a unique to say, I guess, about some racers here. Frankie caressing over there. Some rumors have come out that Valteri Bottas could be coming to Indy in the years coming up.
Damn, that's exciting to hear. I hope this happens. Love to see to Bottas in Indy.
According to Auto Hebdo, Bottas could be joining Indy if there is no F1 deal made. Bottas has mentioned that he finds IndyCar interesting and enjoys the atmosphere and entertainment of the series.
Who doesn't?
We've said here, top series in the world. He has also praised the racing as, quote, real, and noted that there seems to be less political involvement compared to F1. Big words from the man.
Yeah, so a lot of less BS, that I'm pretty sure the F1 world has. We would love to see Bottas
Dude.
at Indy, dude.
Ah.
Bottas at Indy would be amazing, dude. Would be a dream to see there. I feel like he loves the States. He's always around Southern California, bike riding. He's gone to a few areas in Colorado.
I think if I'm not mistaken, I think his calendar was shot exclusively in the U.S.
Yeah, there you go. So
I think I could be wrong. Don't quote me.
Bottas, a great driver. Drive in Williams, drove in Mercedes, next to the world champion Lewis Hamilton. Right now at Sauber, not having the greatest season, but he can make a step up going into Indy.
Big step.
Big step up.
Playing with the big boys in Indy.
Would love to see him in a competitive team like an Andretti, a Chip Ganassi, or a Penske. I'm pretty sure all those teams would welcome Bottas in there with open arms. So hopefully this plays out and we see Bottas' cheeks a little closer than just that calendar right there.
We see his cheeks in an IndyCar.
Exactly. So
real quick. So I just checked it just to make sure it was all shot in Aspen, Colorado.
Okay.
So
there we
it
go.
was all in the States.
Yes, exclusive in the States, exclusively, I guess, in Aspen, Colorado.
Yeah.
Aspen?
Aspen.
Coincidence?
I think not.
Moving on to the Toronto race. Very, very strong performance for Colton Herta this weekend.
Yeah, super strong.
I think he took pole, obviously. He won the race. I think he led every session this weekend. So
swept it up.
every practice, every race, every race that happened this weekend.
Maybe he's listening out here to Full Beans on a previous episode. We kind of grilled him, and it was a good grilling because we want to see him perform.
Yes,
we want to see these performances week in and week out, and be fighting up there for that championship. He's a local boy here in Southern California, so we want to see our local drivers out there fighting at the top tier racing series out in the world. So good to see him do that performance and sweeping up this weekend and putting himself now in contention in for that championship run.
And I think a 40 race drought, winless drought.
Yeah,
That's a long drought in Indy.
that's a long drought.
Good to see him up there. Andretti finishing strong this weekend with a 1-2.
They were.
Kyle Kirkwood kind of creeping up into the talk of the top drivers, I think.
Yeah, I think so. I think he's another driver who's a very good team player. Over the radio, he had mentioned that there was a lot of restarts in this race, and he told his team that, hey, I'm not going to be taking any unnecessary risk with Colton, but if I'm faster, I will overtake him. I'm in here for the team, and I know Andretti really wanted this win because it's been a very long time since they've won. They haven't won this season. So Kirkwood also playing that team play and a good driver that has the bigger picture in his head,
Yeah. The race started off with a bumpy start, I guess you could say. Mm-hmm. Lots of cautions. Santino Ferrucci, I think, crashing in lap 1.
No, Santino, that crash was later.
No, well, the big crash was later.
Oh, the big crash was later. Yeah,
I think he was in like a little. He caused the caution, and him once again in the middle of whatever headline is out there. Mm-hmm. Looking good. The race. What do you think?
The race was pretty. Once the beginning was over and the beginning was over. Once the cautions were over, it was a pretty kind of boring race. A lot of drivers complaining about, and a lot of the teams complaining about these sticker green tires that were going to be a very big handicap because they were only going to last 3, 4, 5 laps, and that's it. And they really wanted to get onto the black tires. And so a lot of teams stayed out there. One of the drivers that stood out to me was Scott Dixon, was able to make those tires last a very long time and came and he started very far down the grid and moved himself up to a podium position. So good job for Scott Dixon showing his experience, his fuel saving like always. And I think this happened to Palou. Another example of Palou, like we mentioned before.
Many times.
Just staying out of trouble, being letting everybody else make the mistakes and pouncing on those opportunities. Towards the end of the race, a lot of drivers crashed out even before the big crash. A lot of drivers DNF, and he was able to make those free spots available for him. So he didn't take any unnecessary risk because he knows he's at the top right now of the championship lead. But he doesn't want to DNF and put himself in a sticky situation. He has a good lead, but he wants to keep that lead up there, right? So
yeah, again, more of Palou just being that consistent driver, like you're saying, staying out of trouble, showing that, like we've said here in IndyCar, you don't necessarily have to win every race, but you do have to finish pretty good consistently. The other day we're talking about, I think, averages of scores, like, grades, I guess. Mm-hmm. He averages solid, and he shows that I mean, you can see from his championship wins and him currently leading that consistency gets you titles.
Yeah, exactly. We can now, I think, if you want, I don't know what's the next topic you want to talk about the race.
I mean, I think the crash. I mean, it was a big crash.
Yeah, big crash. What's it called?
Pato loses it.
Pato, yep. Pato.
And it just a massacre ensues.
Yeah, Pato loses it, like you said. He ends up at a weird angle facing towards the drivers and ends up becoming a little ramp.
A ramp.
For upcoming drivers. Ericsson gets caught up. And then I believe the one, Fittipaldi kind of flies on his nose, but then the big one was Ferrucci, who ends up going really airborne. And his teammate of Pato, Pourchaire, ends up, or Siegel, I believe. Siegel crashes into Pato and fixes him back up. But a huge crash. Good to see everybody was okay. Ferrucci was able to, once they flip him over, he was able to get out of the car.
Second week we see an Indy car flipped over.
Yeah, I know. So hopefully this kind of stops. I mean, I don't want to see any flip overs,
Yeah, and Pato posted later that he thought IndyCar should have thrown that yellow or red a lot sooner.
Yeah.
You think they waited a little too long?
I don't know, dude. It was really unexpected. I think you can't really blame the IndyCar safety team to pull it right away because it kind of did. I really thought Pato was gonna once everybody passed, he was gonna just join the grid again and stuff. But it's
But this
tough.
is the second week we see a car turned over.
Yeah.
Does Indy have to do something? Do you think there's anything that does Indy have to look and maybe have an audit or something? Do you think it's been their issue or it's just been unfortunate events?
I think it's just been unfortunate events and a weird situation because Pato was facing the wrong way, creating a little ramp. The race before where it was the oval, someone ran out of fuel. So I think that was just a different. If it was maybe like the track that had a different, a weird characteristic that was making people flip over, then yeah. But I think they just been a little bit unlucky, the safety team and the.
Because cautions have been, I feel like this season, cautions have been a real big point of conversation with waiting to pull the caution, pulling the caution too early, drivers gaining lots of positions during cautions, drivers losing lots of positions in cautions. Caution, yellow flag, calendar falling.
I know, jeez.
So I don't know. I guess we'll continue to see how the cautions play out.
I think as long as they're consistent, if they pull them early every single race, at least if they're consistent, I think that's a positive thing.
But do you think they've been consistent?
I think they have, dude. I think they've been consistent as far as this season. They've pulled them a lot earlier than previous seasons before. If there's a incident, caution right away. So
I think this one particularly, I think they pulled it a little late.
Okay.
Because Pato turns, right? He turns out. He loses it. there's like a couple cars, and then there's like a good like 5-10 seconds till like the cars come in that start using him as a ramp. I think this one was a little late, and it's just unfortunate to see. Fortunate to see that everyone walks away, like we were saying. It's good to show that the cars are built to save the drivers and not. I mean, obviously they're built for a lot of things, but the first and primary objective of the car should be to keep the driver safe, and it looks like that's being. That's the case nowadays.
Yeah. On a positive note, shout out to Zach Brown. He was there at the Toronto Grand Prix.
Leaving that stinky Formula One behind.
Yeah.
Even though there was lots of drama in that. Tune into our F1 episode to see the drama of that.
Yeah, so good to see Zach Brown is really prioritizing the superior racing series of IndyCar. Unfortunately, that two drivers of his, DNF, Alexander Rossi, couldn't race this weekend because he broke his finger during practice when he hit a wall, and the steering wheel kind of broke his finger on that. They call in Dale Porcher.
Teddy Chairs replacing in.
Last minute, Tony made the call. Hey, get your butt over here.
Get your derriere over here.
And before you know it, he was in the car driving. Did a pretty good job. I mean, just jumping in there with really no experience. I mean, he's driven there before with the team, right? But
clearly not a sour taste in his mouth.
No.
So that's good to see. I think they must have had discussions when they swapped drivers and stuff that it didn't leave a bad taste in his mouth.
Yeah, it shows still Porcher's character that he doesn't get butthurt. He sees the big picture, and his opportunities will come in the future.
A strong showing quickly from Frank. Can you go back up to David Malukas finishing pretty high.
Yeah, David Malukas pulling the moves on I believe it was Alex Palou during the race. So good to see the youngster.
You think
really showing his skills out there?
McLaren cut him too early?
Maybe it looks like it
because he's been driving kind of since he's gotten his permanent seat. He's kind of been driving his shoes off.
Yeah, Malukas looks like the real deal, so we'll see how this unfolds.
Good result from I mean, looking like Grosjean had a decent result. Will Power getting that penalty near the end, kind of ruining his race.
Yeah, unfortunate to see him crash against Scott McLaughlin, his teammate. McLaughlin clapping at him once Will Power makes the lap around and waiting for Will Power and gives him the applause for thank you for crashing me out. Unfortunate to see that happen, but
teammates once again.
Yeah, so but
moving on, I guess we can talk about the driver standings a little.
Take this shit down.
A live makeover of the studio.
Yeah.
Palou stays in first.
Yeah, he opens up his championship by a little bit.
Yep.
By staying,
Frankie,
like we said, staying ahead.
The math?
I can't math right now.
Frankie giving us math last week. I guess we don't get it this week.
No,
it was already too much for me.
I mean, the rest of the pack looks really tight. Is Palou starting to run away with it?
I don't think so. I think we still have a few more races, and if Palou gets a little unlucky and everybody else gets a little bit lucky, it's anybody's championship still to win, I believe.
You think Palou? Okay, if you had to give a percentage to what do you think, like a percentage of Palou winning? I
think like a 70. I believe he has like a 70% chance of winning this.
I'd agree. I think that's the correct ballpark.
Yeah.
I mean, because like we've said, he doesn't win the races, but he's so consistent in not finishing in the bottom half of the grid that it's kind of hard to compete with that.
Yeah, Palou's just got to do what Palou has always done. Just like you said, be there in the race and capitalize on the points that he can grab. Not take any unnecessary risk. Doesn't have to win the races. Doesn't even have to be top. Doesn't even have to be on the podium. Just got to be within the top 5, top maybe 8 by now. He has a good cushion and he can take this championship home.
You think he stays? How much longer do you think he stays in Indy?
I don't know, dude. It's really, I really hope he does move to another racing series, even though he would leave the pinnacle of racing over here at Indy.
Obviously, it's a step down.
Yeah, but
sometimes you need that.
Sometimes he needs to show his skills somewhere else and show that he's one of the GOATs. and he can do it anywhere else. So, man, I don't know. I hope he goes somewhere else and really shows his stuff, dude.
He does seem to be a class above some of the rest of these drivers, to be honest.
Sure.
To be honest.
For
Because
sure.
like we say, the rest of the pack looks pretty tight, and he just consistently shows that he's the best IndyCar driver at the moment.
Yeah, this guy's on another level. He doesn't do any mistakes. You know, he knows how to win the championship. Maybe not win every race, but win the championship. You know.
Yeah. So I guess, I don't know, you got any more comments on the race?
That's it. I think that's it for me. Unfortunately, to see McLaren not do that good. Like I mentioned, Zach Brown was there, so that sucks to see that. And
Hopefully we get to see Bottas
yep,
in an IndyCar.
Very
hopefully.
soon.
And on that bombshell of a butt over there,
Mm-hmm.
full beans, out.
See you.